Tokusatsu, taking the form of many shows including Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Metal Heroes. And today, a group of fans come together to review it for you as Toku Secrets.
Hey guys, this is Nathan Desa. We are coming at you with another episode of the Toku Secrets podcast presented by AnimeSecrets.org. Today we're actually going to be kind of going back to the roots of the Toku Secrets podcast. Most of you may recall that we started this podcast off with a full series review of the Sentai that was airing at the time, Bisha Sentai Tokuger. So now we're going to be doing the same thing, but with a different Sentai, and we'll talk about that Sentai in a little bit. And I'm also joined in this podcast by...
Hey, it's Anthony Davis here. I'm also joined by...
Hey, it's Rizwan, the owner of this website, / Blue Commander Otaku Sentai Digital Ranger, / AKA the guy who's going to make your worst dreams come to life, AKA I'm still better than Ronald no matter what Ronald thinks, AKA I'm the American Sniper version 2, AKA you better watch it before you get wrecked, AKA I'm running out of things to AKA, but I'm going to still try to AKA because AKA I am just it. I am the one. I'm the one. Hey guys, how's it going?
So before we get started, we're gonna start. We already do this in our previous podcast, but now I'm officially just gonna call it this thing. I'm gonna call it the RANOT section. RANOT is going to be an acronym for Randomly Assorted News of Tokusatsu section. I don't know if that's clever or not, but. So first and foremost, now this is something that we've already talked about in rather lengthy detail on the Otaku Sentai Digiranger channel. Pua Magasiva, who played Shane, the red Wind Ranger from Ninja Storm, sadly passed away. He was 38 years old, and this took place on, I believe it was May 11th. Very, very tragic, and I don't think as of the recording of this video, there have been any more details released on his death. Just a very tragic thing, and if you want to hear us give more of a detailed thought, you can check our Otaku Sentai Digiranger page, though, viewer discretion is advised on that channel.
Yeah, we're not as family friendly, so...
Yeah.
A few other things. Obviously, since we've done our last video, the current Sentai, Rio Soldier, has started to air. I have not seen it, although from what I can see, it does seem to be a little reminiscent of Kyoryuger, right down to the main 6 Rangers being red, blue, black, green, pink, and gold. So what's next? Are they going to have like cyan, purple, gray, and silver Rangers? I mean, I don't know what to say.
It could happen.
Okay, well, I'm giving people bad ideas if I say that. So.
Toby, if you're listening, Nathan wants full royalties.
Okay, this is kind of a shameless plug here. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe we could have the link in the description, but I would like for any fans who watch this podcast to take a look at my personal series that I'm posting on Fanfiction, Power Rangers Millennium Warriors, because I recently started to get to writing more episodes on that. I mean, it's kind of sporadic with posting, but yeah, I'm trying to get more views for that. I think it's okay. I mean, I may not be amazing, but I think I'm better than the people who wrote Super Mega Force. So
everyone who made that.
That's not a hard thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to a few other developments. I will be finishing QQ Sentai Go-Go 5 pretty soon. I think it's a pretty average show. I would say it's about as good as Lightspeed Rescue. I think they both have their ups and downs. Anthony has actually recently finished watching O Ranger. He's not a huge fan of that.
I'm not.
Yeah, it's O Ranger is the season that was adapted into Zeo, by the way, for those back at home who don't know that. Yeah, and Anthony and I might do a brief video on that Sentai at some point.
I like Car Rangers. I like Car Rangers so far, though.
Oh, how many episodes are you into that?
That's interesting you like it, though.
I guess because like it's more like I expect the campy and friendly comedic vibe from it, as opposed to Old Ranger, which is supposed to be like a like a invasion. I didn't get that from Old Ranger. Like the first episodes, yeah, I did, but afterwards, I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Car Rangers Campy Tone was, okay. I mean, because Car Ranger is basically like a parody of the Sentai genre, like.
Which I heard ironically that like what happened with Power Rangers Turbo and what happened to Car Ranger happened in reverse, because apparently Old Ranger did so badly that they were always going to cancel it, but Car Ranger saved it, whereas
Turbo almost canceled Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Look, that's a cursed season. Whatever you look at it, okay? I mean,
Yeah.
there is no saving that.
Mm-hmm.
No.
But that's why I'm surprised you like it, is because of all the hate.
Yeah, I'm just I'm indifferent towards comedic
So,
Sentai.
granted, what I do hear about Car Ranger versus Turbo is that it's super freaking campy.
It really is.
Though
Not as
Turbo's
campy. Not as campy as not. Well, the beginning part wasn't really campy, but then everything afterwards is definitely campy.
Yeah.
There's like planetary genocide in the very first episode, but after that, everything's played for fun.
Yeah, like, I mean, how many episodes are you in, Anthony?
I'm really only in the first episode, honestly.
Nathan, have you watched it?
Yeah, I watched it all the way through. It was a long time ago, but I mean, I don't know. Just it seems to be like a basic parody thing here. Like, I mean, okay, Anthony, you don't mind if I say this? This isn't really a plot spoiler. Like, could I just say real quick or?
No.
You can.
So, the method of making the monsters grow in Car Ranger, and it's not shooting torpedoes like it is in Turbo.
I figured that much.
It's actually the guy, I can't remember his name. He's Porto's counterpart or whatever that guy's name is in Turbo.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He gives them this food. He feeds the monsters this food, and it's just regular food to make them grow.
Wow.
So you can't get much more of a parody. So.
And do they eat the food right then and there, or something that happens like later on in the episode?
Well, I can't remember those details, but yeah, like, and I think some other funny things. It's like this episode where they're fighting those monsters that are all like evil Power Rangers. They were called Crash and the Creeps in Turbo, and like, and they start doing this theme song that's like a parody of the Car Ranger theme song. Like, it's basically like the equivalent of like. In the Psycho Ranger saga and Power Rangers in Space, a song started playing like, set controls to the planet Earth, we are gonna go destroy the Power Rangers.
Wow.
So, you know that thing, so.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, I just made that up, but
it should be a real thing.
Yeah. But yeah, enough about this, roundup. I think we've got that covered pretty well. So, so the Sentai.
We had another topic that you kind of forgot about, bro.
Do what?
We got a topic you forgot about.
What topic?
So, in the interim from our last podcast until this podcast, prior to Real Soul, how do you say it?
Real Soldier.
Real Soldier. Before that aired, we had a Battle Royale 4-part miniseries.
Oh right, I forgot all about that.
And
Psycho
that
Battle
thing was lit.
Yes,
I actually
Psycho
watched
Battle was amazing.
I think that's our next podcast.
I would love to talk about that.
Because it is so cool, like having all these different characters come together, especially having my favorite character, Marvelous, and my least favorite character, the Red Ranger from Ninja, on the same team. It just causes so much, like, I don't know. On one hand, I love it.
The middle, the middle best character, which is Yamato's.
Yeah.
Isn't
Boken
Silver in it
from other people too?
He's Boken Silver's in it too.
Yeah, he's like a guest character. He's not like a main part of it.
Him, Kruger's in it too.
Yeah.
Deca Master.
Now, like it says here, the main ones are Yamato from Ju-Oger, Captain Marvelous, Takaharu, as Riz mentioned, Stinger. I think that's the orange.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the orange,
it's a sorry orange.
And then Kagura, the one of the good
Toku.
Tokugers.
Yeah, one of the good Tokugers we actually like.
Yeah. So okay, watching that made me like Yamato a lot more than I did because I already like Yamato, but I liked him more in this role too.
Most definitely.
Because there's already like history between Marvelous and Yamato from the crossover.
Yep.
So they could play off of that a lot in the 4-part.
I love that they remembered each other.
Yeah, that's what I thought Yamato remembered. Marvelous tried to not remember.
Well, still,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Like, if you guys want to do a podcast on that, I mean, I'll still have to watch it all the way through. But
yeah,
I mean, but yeah, that sounds like.
Also, aside from that, our Anime Secrets website now has an official Discord channel server deal.
Yep.
For the public. So if you guys are interested in coming to talk to us about Tokusatsu or Power Rangers or Kamen Rider or anything else, come on by. We got a whole Tokusatsu channel set up, and we're here just hanging out, talking on and off every day. It's still kind of in the infancy, but we're growing steadily every day with a couple of people joining. So I think you'll join us. We're fun.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, do we have any other topics we wanted to briefly discuss, or?
What else is? What about the Kamen Rider stuff? What's going on with them? I haven't even kept up to know what the title is right now.
Zio is still the series airing for Kamen Rider, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They aired a 3-part miniseries called Shinobi, Right Time Shinobi, but it was actually really good. I've only seen 2 episodes of it. I ain't seen the final one yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to start watching some more Kamen Rider series, and like, I mean, I kind of like I stopped watching, like in the middle of Ghost, and then just fell way too far behind to even care.
It's not worth watching, much keeping up with, honestly.
Yeah.
Ghost? I was gonna probably pick it up at some point and finish it.
You're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna be disappointed, though.
I don't care. I want to finish what I started.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
ninjas are bad.
Not quite, but just nearly close.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, since we don't really have much other news, we can get to talking about the main topic here. So, as we said, we're going to be kind of going back to the roots of the Toku Secrets podcast. We're going to be doing basically a 3-part review on a Super Sentai series. It's actually not going to be Ryu Soldier, though. Instead, we are going to be doing quite a bit of backtracking, even earlier than Tokuger, actually. We are going to be reviewing the 36 Sentai series, which is also currently being adapted into Power Rangers Beast Morphers, and that is Tokumei Sentai Go Busters. This was the first season to be. This was the first season to come out after Go Kaiger. The 3 main Go Busters even had a brief cameo in Go Kaiger's little crossover movie with Uchu Cage Gaban, where it was just a morphed cameo. Because I don't know if they still do this now, but like back in those times, I think it started with like Go Onger versus Shinkenger. The crossover movies would feature like a brief cameo from the future Sentai, like they did that with the Ghost Sagers. So, yeah. So, this picks up. So, I mean, I guess we're going to be taking a look at the first 10 episodes. There's not really much to really talk about here, since, as Riz was actually pointing out before we actually review, nothing really happens much in the early episodes.
It's really. So I just finished watching episode 10 maybe 30 minutes ago before we started this. And my biggest question throughout the first 10 episodes was, okay, so they're fighting, they're doing cool stuff, they're getting their Megazord built, which, by the way, this Sentai actually calls them Megazords.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't actually know if there's been any real plot development throughout, like, the 10 episodes.
Well, what
so
we
far.
know is that like they're trying like to get this, save their parents from the cyber dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, okay, so that's the thing that's going on in the background, but what really has happened to kind of push that agenda forward? Like, have they actually done anything to hit that point? Really, they've just been reactive to the fact that Enter comes and he does a thing, and then they have to go fight the thing, and then they have to turn the thing into a bigger thing so that they can become a Megazord and fight the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little bit of character development here and there with the different characters meeting up with like either old classmates or their sister or interpersonal stuff, but I mean, not really. Even the character development's kind of lagging, in my opinion,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe we should start with the actual premise, because we kind of tangented off into the,
From our classic tangents.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so the first episode, it doesn't really give us that much story. It's really just kind of, it's one of those typical first episodes where like every ranger except the red one is active, and it's more about the red ranger kind of finding his place. But the story here is that there's this alternate dimension. It's kind of a place where humans are staying alive because the rest of the world has been taken over by a computer virus. Kind of similar to the Matrix movies. How the real world is like taken over and like just completely ravaged by machines. So there's like this alternate dimension where everything and the entire world is powered by this energy source called Ineteron, which is stored in these towers. And there's this organization that we don't really know much about, Boglas, attempting to steal Ineteron. They're led by this character named Enter, who I'm just going to say now, I mean, maybe we don't really get the best first impression of him early on, but as the series goes on, Enter is probably one of my favorite Sentai villains.
He really just becomes his own character.
I really like Enter a lot as a character. I mean, that's not one of my problems with the show so far.
You do? You like him?
I like him so far, yeah.
Yeah.
Sava, go bastards.
He's a Japanese dude who speaks French, and he's just so prim and proper to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and unlike most villain factions, Boglas is actually not one of those things where it's like, just a bunch of like head honcho monsters ganging up. It's really just Enter walking around. He has these foot soldiers called Bugglers, I think they're called, at his disposal, and he basically creates monsters. He'll take his laptop and then like connect this little flash drive to it, and then like slide a card through it, and turns everyday objects into, kind of like how Lord Zed and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And in this case, pretty much first episode is that Hiromu, he's being called to help the other two Go Busters. His sister, I think her name is Rika. I don't know. It is. His sister's name is Rika.
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't want him to become a Go Buster, and she has to raise him because both their parents are dead. And eventually Hiromu kind of defies her and goes to help the other two. The other two Go Busters' names are Ryuji, he is Blue Buster, and Yoko, Yellow Buster. And these three Go Busters also have their three robotic assistants that were given to them as children. Hiromu has this cheetah thing that can also become a motorcycle. Nick.
Cheetah Nick.
Yep. Ryuji has this one called, he's a gorilla, kind of a socially awkward sort of guy. His name is Gorosaki.
Yeah.
And Yoko has a rabbit one called Usada Lettuce. Funny last name, but.
And ironically, like, she's the only female buster that has a male robotic companion.
Yeah,
just
they're
like
called
yeah.
They're called buddy roids, by the way.
Buddy roids. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say beast boss, but then that's good. That's beast morphers.
That's the American. Yeah.
And this episode also, the first episode, it's basically it's kind of a standard episode, where Inter is trying to steal an Eteron. He creates a monster out of this power shovel machine, like a bulldozer sort of thing. And the thing about the monsters with this is that it's not actually Go Buster toy, a monster and then it grows. It's actually when Inter creates a monster, he also creates this giant counterpart for it. They're called Megazords. And yes, I'm not talking about Power Rangers. They're actually called Megazords. And
yeah.
And then they get and then once he creates one of those monsters, I don't know, maybe 3 or 5 minutes afterward, the Megazord launches, and that's how so it's basically Ryuji and Yoko have to fight the small one, and Ryoma uses his Zord, which they're called Buster machines in these in this series, and it's called the CB01, which kind of similar to the Red Dragon Thunder Zord from season 2. It's a Zord that has its own warrior mode, and he uses that to destroy the Megazord for the first episode. And then that moves us into the next episode, where we kind of learn a little bit more about the story behind these 3 Go Busters. They were all chosen to be Go Busters, when they were children. Hiromu and Yoko were very little kids. I don't think they could be any older than 5 or 6 years old. And Ryuji, he was probably a teenager when he got selected, though. Ryuji was much older than the 2 of them. So. Yeah. And we also learned that that the Go Busters actually have special powers, kind of like civilian powers, except they can also use them in Ranger form. Hiromu has superhuman speed. Ryuji has super strength, and Yoko has super agility. She can, jump really high.
Attack rabbit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hint.
And and also none of the Go Busters have any real special weapons. They both have the same. All 3 of them have the same kind of weapons. They both have this knife-like thing, which is a sword, and then they have this thing which they use as a camera in civilian mode, but it becomes a blaster when they're in Ranger form. So, and the next episode debuts the. This episode, we also learn the 2 weak points of Yoko and Hiromu, because basically in this episode, both of them have weak points, which, when they use their team powers, Hiromu, when he gets really scared, freezes up, so he kind of like a computer freezing, and you can't use it anymore. And when I say he gets really scared, that means when he sees a chicken, because he is afraid of chickens. And in a later episode, we actually learned that he once got trapped in a chicken coop and was surrounded by chickens that were all going after him. And now he's just terrified of chickens. It made more sense in Beast Morphers.
It really did. I'm glad they made an explanation for that.
You got anything to say, Riz? Or
The first episode it does a good job giving us these different characters and what they're all about and their weakness and their quirks and all that. So I have no real concern with the first episode. I thought it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good episode.
Yeah, I mean it was a good lead in basically.
Yeah. Like I said, I think if it wasn't for Enter and his great enthusiasm and how he acts on the show, this probably would have been a good series, honestly, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you think Enter made it worse?
No, I say he made it better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We also find out that I think it's in this episode, though it might not be. Enter is working for computer virus, the computer virus that took over the world. He's simply called the Messiah, and he's like just this big floating purple head thing, kind of like Zordon, except just evil. And that's actually why he's trying to steal a Netteron so that he can revive the Messiah and have him, come into the other dimension to completely wipe out the rest of the human race.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And in the case of Yoko with her weak point, if she kind of runs out of energy, so if she hasn't, eaten like, sweets that give her 2 minutes, and she burns all of her calories, she then can't move or do anything, kind of like a computer dying,
Nah, the girl has diabetes.
Going
She needs an insulin pump.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm starting to see why.
It's funny because Zoe and Beast Morpher needs the carrots because of the rabbit connection to the Jackrabbit Beast Spot.
Yeah.
So it's funny to see how in one show they're directly linked and they get the weakness from the Beast Spot. But in this case it's a genetic defect where they need to have energy to revive her.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why they did it in Beast Morphers. It makes sense.
The next couple of episodes are really just filler episodes. We do find out over the next couple of episodes that just some of the capabilities of the Go Busters Buster machines. They start off in their vehicle mode. So Hiromu's CB01 is a sports car. Like I said, it has its own warrior mode, and it can also transform into a cheetah. Ryuji has the GTO2, which is a truck that can also become a gorilla. And Yoko has the RH03, which is a helicopter that can become a rabbit. So they have their vehicle mode and then, animal mode.
Yeah.
Episode 3 is just, another, filler episode where the Go Busters have to infiltrate a hospital that Vaglas has taken over to try and obtain an Netteron. There's I can't really remember much what happens in episode other than just another filler episode.
There's really a lot of filler, to be quite honest, in the first couple episodes. I mean, nothing really is given to us about what's going on. And that's what I was saying earlier before the podcast, that like once we establish the characters, their quirks, and their personalities, they start to try and do some character building. But what I find is, they do character building, and where we have Yoko and Hiromu go through like their thing where they're not friends and they're not liking each other and all that stuff. And that kind of is our gateway to why Yoko didn't like him, because of the entire after basically their parents got killed or they were taken into this portal thing. We don't actually know what happens at this point, or I don't actually know what happens at this point because I haven't seen beyond episode 10. You guys have, so you may know more than I do.
Yeah.
But from my perspective at this point, she basically blames him for not being there with her and the blue go buster. I forget his name. It's like
Ryuji.
Ryuji. Yeah, Ryuji. Like the two of them are basically like brother and sister, and they grow up together and everything. But he's trained separately because of strategic reasons. Of they want to keep them all separate in case of like something happening.
Mm-hmm.
So she really resents him, and that finally comes out in the episode whenever they kind of go through and deal with the interpersonal relationship between those two.
Yeah.
And then there's like another episode where we have Ryuji meet his former classmate who they're both really big on wanting to build a Megazord together, but Ryuji's dream of doing that kind of diminished whenever the event happened that took away their parents and he had become a Go Buster. Because at that point, he couldn't become a Megazord engineer, which, by the way, that's a dream job for me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Being a Megazord engineer.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So for him, it's like, crap, I let my friend down. He doesn't even know where I am because they couldn't keep very much contact with their old lives after all this happened.
Mm-hmm.
So we get a little bit of background on like what Ryuji was up to beforehand. We also get a little bit of insight into Hiromu in one episode where Ace, which is the red Go Buster Zord, and the maintenance going on there, and the guy who's doing the maintenance kind of like a klutzy dude. Well, he's like a rookie. He's not like really any like professional yet. And Hiromu is like really dismayed by the fact that this like new kid is being unprofessional and really klutzy and can't do a job, which makes the kid feel really bad and which leads to some hijinks where the Mega Zord can't operate well. And throughout the episode, everyone's looking at him like, really? You're gonna keep berating this dude over and over again when he's trying to do his job and help you?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really happen like until the end when he's finally like, okay, I get it. But the thing that I really don't like is that while the relationship between Hiromu and Yoko is repaired, and while Hiromu learns from the altercation with him and the mechanic, their characters don't really change. I mean, yeah, Yoko doesn't hate him anymore, but at the same time, nothing really has gone and changed in the way that you would expect. If that makes
Mhm.
any sense to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
I mean, yeah, okay, so Yoko and him are getting along better. They're teammates. They're actually working as a team. But
Well, I think that whole plot line though was kind of resolved too early. Like,
Yeah.
this could have
yeah,
been
and
better
that's
if
my
it was.
complaint is that it was like a magic wave of the wand. Like, she hates him now. She doesn't hate him. I mean,
I mean, you
you know,
couldn't have done
and then
something
like,
like. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, sorry, I was gonna talk about like one more plot point. I want to bring up real quick, if you can call them plot points, really. In the episode 10, the one I just finished watching, Yoko and her buddy Roy get in a fight because she won't do her own homework, and they start like just going on and on like back and forth like, well, she has to learn to do her homework. She has to learn to do her own homework, and her and the buddy Roy make up. Metalroid and her make up. I think its name is Metalroid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, but even after making up, she's still doing the same crap where she's like getting other people to do her homework for her. Like she got the commander to do it for her this time. Like she hasn't in Power Rangers we have like lessons of like, do your homework, kids, and you'll be fine. Well, in this case, like, yeah, do your homework, kids, but you can still cheat after you've gone through the lesson. No big deal.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. I think the big thing though, you guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
You're so not hearable.
Like, I think nothing's really happened. I think like if we want to use like a good comparison, like let's look at Gokaiger and like how the first 10 episodes go. Like first episode we meet the Gokaiger, second episode, you know, they decide that they want to stay on Earth a bit more. Third episode, they meet the, they get the Maji Rangers Grand Power and find out that the way they can, their goal is to get all the Grand Powers of the Super Sentai. We get a few filler episodes, like I think episode 4 was like kind of a Joe episode that kind of gave more of an insight to Joe's character, etc. Here though, I mean, obviously, I think like I remember now that this is coming back to me. I first watched Go Busters like I think it was like 5 years ago actually now. I think like I kind of got into Go Busters slowly. I think I liked more half of this. We'll probably talk more, and obviously we'll talk more about the second half. But I do think that it was a bit of a slow start, and that was kind of a turnoff for me. There is one episode that I really like. This is episode 5. It's actually the episode that actually shows us Ryuji's weak point. Where if he uses too much power, he overheats and then he goes berserk. That's what they say. Like he goes crazy and he attacks Yoko and that makes Yoko cry because, she's like his little sister, which I think was a pretty good episode. And then episode 6 is like the last episode from like a technical perspective as far as story goes, because episode 6 is actually the episode that debuted main mecha for this season, that combined of all 3 of the Rangers Buster machines, and it's called Go Bustero, which I'm kind of surprised that they waited until like 6 episodes to bring the main mecha on, because the way a lot of Sentais were these last couple of days, I'm surprised they didn't try to debut all Buster machines and Go Bustero first episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, I like that build-up, though.
Oh, I do too. I really do. But I'm just saying it's surprising. Like,
they haven't done that since like the old Sentais that came up before them.
Yeah, I think I know in Jew Ranger they didn't debut Daijujin until like the 6th episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they didn't.
And I think in Dai Ranger they waited quite a bit before they showed Ryuseo. Wait, no, not Ryuseo. Dairino. That's the main. Not good. Yeah. So, yeah, that was a cool callback. Like, I think in terms of Go Busters, like Mecha, it seems like a bit of a cool callback to like some of the older Sentais, because in some of the older Sentais, a lot of the individual mechs had the ability to like hold their own against monsters, with the Red Rangers mechas even having the ability to destroy monsters on their own. But then as time went on, they just kind of started making the mechs a bit less capable of doing things on their own. So I think it's cool to have another Go Buster season where the individual mechs have their own cool features.
Mm-hmm.
But the debut of Go, like I said, Riz pretty much just listed, the next couple of episodes, like.
Well, not all of them, but I listed the things I felt like were pretty big points of it.
Mm-hmm.
The only other really big one that I felt like is worth mentioning is, again, in episode 10, while we have the homework thing going on for Yoko, the bigger plot point that I didn't mention because I didn't find as much problem with that one. Rika, which if you remember from earlier is Hiromu's sister, and she comes looking to meet him, but Hiromu doesn't want to meet her. So the entire episode is like Nick trying to find her, protect her from the monster fights, and then show her why his work as a Go Buster is so important. And if you don't know, Rika hates Nick a lot.
Yep.
Because she sees him as the reason why she lost her brother and why he's caught up in all this stuff going on right now. And Hiromu does not want to meet her. He's more focused on being a ranger or Sentai figure, whatever you call it.
Go
Than
Buster.
he is Go Buster. And he is like wanting to check on his own family and see what's going on there. And the episode ends with Monster being defeated like normal and him going looking for his sister, but no one can find her. All they find is a sketchbook where there's a drawing of the entire family and an animalized version of Nick. And everyone says, oh, well, that's Rika's way of accepting Nick into the family and kind of maybe accepting Hiromu's legacy of what he's about to do.
Yep.
So that's the only other really big character deal we get is like that little interaction. I mean, everything else kind of like really just, I don't know. I'm not as. I came into Go Buster expecting a lot, honestly, because
Right.
everyone talked it up for literally years for me. Because this came out in 2012. I probably watched Go Kaiser 2013-ish, meaning for like 5 years, I've been hyping up in my brain Go Buster to be one of the really good ones. But as of right now, I just don't see it.
Well, I mean, I will defend it right now. It had a much better second half. So
Yeah.
I think this is really just one of those cases. Give it time and probably just appreciate that there's no lawnmower episode or something like that. Like,
Well, the lawnmower episode came in episode 17 of Ninja. We're on
yeah,
episode
that's true.
So until I get to episode 17, I don't see a lawnmower. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know what else to say about this TV. So like from this season, aside from what I've already said.
I would you got anything to say, Anthony? Like,
I have to say, I actually will defend Go Busters because I think what it was that like because they have like decent characters and like a great villain. It's probably what I'm giving. I'm like not giving the benefit of doubt because if it wasn't for those characters, like I probably would have gave up on the show a long time ago.
Yeah. So
I never found it boring though. That's what shocked me when Riz said that. I was like, you found it boring?
What?
When you said it was boring.
Yeah, I'm kind of honestly bored by a little bit of it right now. See, whenever I watch even Tokyuzer, Gokaizer, Kaiurizer, the part of Zyozer I did watch. The one thing I could kind of see in each of these different seasons is a progression. For example, in Gokaizer, we see the guys capturing the legacy powers and using them to advance the plot and get the big treasure at the end, right? But there isn't really any movement by the Go Busters to get to their own metaphorical treasure at the end. Even in Kyurizer, I mean, there was progression where we saw things with the boss kind of like get more nary and like more characters come into the field because you need all 10 of them to do what like to go through the entire thing. Like we kept getting more characters, we kept getting more to mythos. And I mean, yeah, it's a lot of filler there, but the filler gave us a lot of the background on the other 5 characters that are not in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yep.
And honestly, it was just more epic feeling. Like having King and having the Gabu rain suits and all that stuff. That was really epic.
Yeah.
Same thing with like the Go Kaiser soundtrack. It's a really epic soundtrack.
Absolutely.
Zyozer, while I found Zyozer kind of slow moving as well comparatively to the other two, it still had like a progression that you could feel where they're making a difference by trying to get these 5 cubes. It was 5 cubes, right?
Zoom in,
yeah. So, like they were making some progress, and I never felt like nothing's happening.
Because you're always trying to see them over, trying to find out how to, get back to where
Exactly.
they
They're trying to
were
go to
and stuff.
Zooman land.
Zooland, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Tokyo, it was like that too. Like we could see some progression because there we had them trying to take back dark stations to make them back to light, and you can kind of see like a map in your brain of like, okay, so if we get a couple more of these different stations back, we'll own this quadrant, and this will be a big blow to the enemy.
And then they could find, and they were hopefully trying to find their
home.
Their home, yeah. I don't know if it was
Exactly.
home. It
Like,
was like their station, so that they can, find,
the
where
station to
where
their
they live,
home.
where they live. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like, look, I haven't seen a lot of Sentai like you guys have. I've seen the least out of you three, out of us three. I mean, but maybe I just am spoiled by good Sentai. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just find that this one's a lot more slow moving. Nothing really happens, and that bugged me. Like at one point, I think I went on autopilot for like episode 8 or 9 today. Like I'm watching it, like I know what's going on, but it's like I can predict dialogue almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like once I got the basic idea what's going to happen, I was like, oh well, he's going to do this, and she's going to do that, and then they're going to do this, and you know.
But here you don't even have an idea of what they're going to do next.
I know what's going to happen next in Go Buster right now, but in the other ones, like I don't actually know how it's going to end in some cases.
Well, I mean, I don't really know what. I mean, my memory is kind of fun. Just know that. I mean, I want to put Go Busters in my top 5. Well, yeah, well, you know what? I mean, I'll probably like hold my over. Like I'll probably hold my final opinion on it for probably like the final video and like this 3-parter. But yeah, I mean, I can understand being kind of turned off by the slow start because, I mean, I've seen my fair share of Sentais that have had slow starts but have turned out to be pretty good, and then there are some that.
I want to keep watching it because I find it hilarious to see how Saban and now Hasbro take the footage and adapt it to an American audience. Because I can see the things that they took out of the Sentai, and that just amuses me a lot whenever I watch that. And I could see like, I think it was episode 3 of Go Buster, maybe episode 4, whatever episode we got the Megazord in. I could see the exact adaptation in the Beast Morpher, and it was pretty cool to see like how the differences were in that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I think overall, I think just to wrap this up, I think we're not really saying much else. Go Busters. Yeah. Go Busters, kind of gets off to a slow start. I would probably say that same can't be said for Beast Morphers, since I'm actually enjoying Beast Morphers so far. And wouldn't you know, we're almost 10 episodes into Beast Morphers. But yeah, I mean, I think in the future, for those watching this video, you could probably, probably find the next 2 videos that we do to be a bit more interesting, because I think like I said, I think it gets better with time, because there are just some Sentais like that.
I mean, the same thing is true in the anime world as well. For example, and Anthony might actually hate me for this, depending on his opinion on the anime. But for those of y'all that know My Hero Academia, it's a huge thing in the anime world right now. Like everyone loves it, everyone's talking about it. I probably had to go through My Hero Academia's first 3 episodes a grand total of 7 times before I actually went further, because I was just getting so bored by it.
What?
And, yeah, I was bored by
the
first
God, Riz.
3 episodes of it.
Riz, you're not watching it right.
But then I finally took another stab at it earlier this year, and I watched until like middle of season 2, and I only stopped because I started watching something else and I forgot about it. But I recently picked it up in the last week again, and I still really enjoy it. So I'm pretty much proof of you can't judge a season or a series by the first 3 to 4 episodes because you don't actually know when it'll pick up if it ever does pick up. The only complaint I have with that is you sit and wait more than 3 episodes to get your audience like to be excited. Like for example, in Academia, by episode 4 or 5, I mean, we had the entire cast in the school. Like their students are doing their deal. We had people invested in. But in Go Buster, I haven't really seen that in 10 episodes yet. But hey, if it comes later, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
it does.
All right.
Well, okay, that about wraps up this. So, as hopefully we will, be able to get this second video done. I'm thinking, we'll probably try to. I think the next video we can probably go all the way up to like maybe. I'm thinking here.
Let's go episode 24.
Okay, yeah, 24. Halfway.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I think Riz will find the series a bit more enjoyable by that point.
I will bring a hat to the next podcast, and the hat will be either still a hat at the end, or I'll have eaten the hat. We'll see.
Okay. But until that time, be sure to come into this Discord. Come into our Discord if you'd like to chat with us. Always, be sure to check us out on all social media, which includes Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And
YouTube.
Yeah, of course, YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, give this video a like and give a comment down below if you'd like to.
And if you're on iTunes, Google Play, or soon to be Spotify, make sure to subscribe to us there as well. I'm actually going to be looking at Spotify in the next couple of weeks to be getting our podcast published onto it. So stay tuned.
But until next time, we are the Toku Secrets podcast presented by AnimeSecrets.org, and this shutdown is complete. So goodbye, guys.